Hello and welcome back to my channel. My name is Elise if you're new here. Today I've got a video featuring 4 ways to use pattern paper all from the same paper pack. I know a lot of us have pattern paper laying around, but today is a very exciting day because Waffle Flower Crafts is releasing pattern paper for the first time. This paper is so different from the pattern paper that's currently on the market. So first off, it's an 80-pound weight. So you need to feel it to see the difference because it is so thick. It's really nice when you do inlay techniques because the cardstock probably that you're using for your card base is the same thickness as this cardstock here. So that is amazing. It is smooth cardstock, so you can stamp on it and paper piecing, anything you can do with it. So great. The pattern is only on one side, so you don't waste a pattern. You don't have to pick. On the bigger packs, there are 3 sheets each of the 12 coordinating designs. They are padded at the top and individually shrink wrapped when they come to you. The paper size on this is so unique. Most paper packs I find come in 6x6, but when you cut an A2 size card front out of it, there's this little border on the edges that seems to be wasted space. But these new papers, the paper size is 5.5 by 8.5, meaning that you are going to get 2 A2 panels out of this cardstock. It's also designed just for card making, and it is made right here in the USA. I love this cardstock and just know that you will too. So let's make some cards using this new cardstock. All of the cards I'm going to be making today come from this JJ Bolton's Rainbow Paper Pack. I just love it. There's so many great features about this, and they coordinate perfectly with the dies that she has already created for Waffle Flower Crafts. So if you love JJ and have a lot of her bold graphic dies, then you definitely need this paper pack because they coordinate so well together. This first card we're going to make is going to use a die cut inlay technique. So this is just one of the 4 ways that you can use your pattern paper. So like I said, these papers really match her stamps and dies that she's already created really well. So I'm using the fresh rainbow panel die to die cut out this paper. And as you can see, the die and the paper work perfectly together. I'm just going to go ahead. I've die cut that die, the panel die, again out of white because I'm going to do inlay. And I'm just going to go ahead and stamp my sentiment onto this card. All of the cards that I am making today, I plan on sending to friends and loved ones. So right now during the coronavirus epidemic, so pandemic, I guess. And so they all have sentiments that go along with that. So this one is no exception. It says this too shall pass. I just thought that was perfect. And now I'm going to go on and build this card. So I've got the white base, and I'm just going to coat that in some liquid glue and adhere that down on to my card base. My card base is Nina Solar White 110 pound, and all of the supplies that I'm using today are linked down below in the description box, or if you're watching on my blog, scroll down to the bottom because they're there too. So I'm just going to glue this panel die onto my cardstock. It already has my sentiment on it, so now all I need to do is do some paper piecing and inlay those pieces from the die and from the paper. I use a little bit of Jana K purple tape to tape my card base closed. That just allows me better access to be able to glue these down without my card base kind of popping up on me. So I'm putting in those 2 blue pieces, and now I'll go through and add in the various colored pieces to complete this rainbow. I'm just adding glue into the wells, and because this pattern paper is more like cardstock, it is going to inlay perfectly and there's not going to be a gap. So the inlay pieces are flush to the card base. I really love that. That's probably my favorite thing about these new papers. other than the fun patterns, is how thick they are, and that it makes inlay really, really easy. Because I have tried inlay in the past with some other pattern papers on the market, and it's just really difficult because you can see the edge around your white cardstock, because your white cardstock is probably a lot thicker than most of the pattern paper on the market. So once I have gotten all of those done, then my card is complete, and we can move on to number 2, which is backing a cover plate die with these papers. So I've got the hearts plate die. I'm just going to run that through my die cut machine so that I have my white piece all done. I'm running it through my Gemini Junior machine. It's my favorite die cut machine. And then, as you can see, JJ has these rainbow pattern papers that are meant to go behind these die cuts. So I'm just going to put that heart panel die over, and I'm going to line it up so that you get half of each color inside the heart. You could also line it up so that you only get one color inside each row of hearts, and it's more like stripes. I'm just going to use some foam tape to pop this panel up onto this cardstock. I think this is so clever and such a fun way to use this paper. And like I said before, if you already have these dies, or you have the big dots or any of her other cover plate dies, they can all be used with this paper. And it's just wonderful. There are stripes in this pattern paper set that are thicker and some that are thinner. I've also die cut the Oversized Love die from some Lawn Fawn glitter cardstock, and that will be my sentiment on my card today. I just think that the glitter added just a little bit of extra fun, and the glitter on that cardstock itself is kind of an iridescent, and it looks rainbow to me, so I thought it would be perfect all together. Just peeling off all that backing, and then I can go ahead and adhere this. It's easy to line up. You just need to make sure that the lines go straight through the middle of the hearts. Now I can add on that sentiment. I'm also using some of those little Dries foam strips, and I will just center that down. And my second card is complete. Easy peasy. All right, moving on to the third card, which is to use pattern paper to die cut your sentiment. So here I have got another piece of that paper, just a different stripe, and I'm going to take out that hello die and use that to die cut, use the paper to die cut out my word. Just finagling this a little hello to be exactly where I wanted it. At first I thought I wanted to go in backwards rainbow order, but I decided I wanted something a little bit more traditional. So I am going to adhere that down and run it through my Gemini Junior. And then we can move on to completing this card. I think this is such a great way to use pattern paper in an unexpected way. I've got my Misty out, and I've got a smaller rectangle that I die cut with my A2 layers dies. And now I'm going to stamp down my sub-sentiment. Again, like I said, these are all cards I'm going to send to friends right now. So I'm just making some room underneath the O for my sentiment. And it says, so it's going to say hello from way over here, which I think is really funny for right now because nobody's seeing anybody. I'm going to take some VersaFine ink and stamp that down. Just hit it twice. I didn't get it perfect the first time. And then we can move on to finishing this card. I just need to glue the big hello sentiment down. And I'm just once again using my liquid glue. I love liquid glue because it just buys you that little bit of time to make the wiggle adjustments to make sure that everything lines up properly. So just coating that pretty good. And then I'll go ahead and stick it down onto that rectangular base. Make sure that's glued down really, really well. And then from there, I am going to use some foam tape to adhere it to an A2 sized card front. And that is craft cardstock that I am using, just to give it a little bit of framing and a little bit of something different. So once I have got that lined up, I'm just going to take it and glue it onto another card base. Like I said, I use Neenah 110-pound card bases. I like to stand up my cards while I'm gluing and just make sure that they are all nice and straight. And that is the third card. Moving on to the fourth card, I think it's great to use pattern paper as a background for your card. Now here I've got a different rainbow piece. I've got a piece of vellum, a piece of sparkle cardstock, and a piece of dark pink cardstock, and the Happy Birthday Rainbow Birthday die set. And I'm going to be using the biggest outline and cutting that into this rainbow piece. I realized for a second I have it upside down. Cutting that into the rainbow piece. I will be cutting the smallest shadow outline out of the vellum, and then the words out of the hot pink piece, or the actual letters where it will cut happy birthday. The sparkle piece I'm going to use as a backing, basically like a window for my die cut sentiment. You'll see that in a second. Just using purple tape to hold everything into place while I run it through my die cut machine. Today's cards featured a lot of die cutting, and it was a lot to prepare this and kind of get all my ducks in a row. So I've sent that through my die cut machine, and now I have a little bit of a time lapse, so you don't have to watch this so slowly, and you also won't watch it all. So you can see I've got my little outline happy birthday and then all of my little die cut letters, and I'm just going to individually glue those down. And this is a little bit time consuming, as you could probably guess. I think all in all, doing all these little letters took me about 15 minutes. Just that they're so tiny, and I'm just trying to place them in the right place and get my glue down and not too much glue. And anyways, but I do feel like in the end, this is really worth it. I love the way that this turns out. I've done another card in the past, kind of similar to this, same type of idea, but with white paper instead of the rainbow paper, and then rainbow letters instead of all one color. And I think I prefer this one with the rainbow, just it adds just a little something extra. This rainbow paper could also be used with that fresh rainbow panel die. So you have white background options and blue background or sky options. So you can see I've sped up. I am going to use some foam tape to pop up this rainbow piece that I have die cut the largest shadow out of. And I will then adhere that down to the sparkle cardstock. And then onto the sparkle cardstock, I will glue down the happy birthday letters. And that will complete the cards. All told in this release, there are a number of different pattern paper packs, dots, lines, a really neat black and white neutral pack that has a marble cardstock in it, which is really cool. Lots of different options. So I will link down below to that release so you can go check them out. Thank you for joining me here today. I hope that you've enjoyed watching these cards. Let me know in the comments down below which one is your favorite. Subscribe to see more from me, like this video, and ring the bell so that you always get notified when I post a new video. Thank you so much, and I'll catch you in the next one.